Hi folks, Angelo Lambropoulos, Director of Lambros Realty, and here I am with the May 2021 Cherrybrook property market update. So just before I get into it, just a couple of new elements I've added into this. Obviously request from a lot of you out there seems to be a common theme, so more than happy to add it in. Talking about the actual auction clearance rates for the suburb of Cherrybrook. And a big question I'm getting from a lot of you out there at the moment is the market appears to have cooled. Why is that? And can you explain it? So I'll get to that shortly, but I'll start off with the figures for the month of May. So if we look at May 2021, there were 25 registered home sales. We had a median price of $2.5 million amongst those 24 sales for the month of May. And the highest sale was sitting at 2.88 million. And average days on market is still sitting at 23. So that's been consistent over the past 3 months. Now, if we compare these sales to May 2020, obviously last year there where we had the coronavirus saga and lockdown, there were only 6 registered sales, so to be expected. Median was sitting at $1,427,500 to be exact amongst those 6 sales. The highest sale was recorded at 1.76 in that month with average days on market at 58. So, I mean, that was, I guess a challenge for everyone across the board, not just Cherrybrook. So getting to the auction clearance rates, there were 26 registered auctions for the month of May. There were 13 that sold at auction, 10 that had sold prior. There were 2 that passed in, and there was 1 that's since been rescheduled. So in amongst, when you look at the auction clearance rates, the actual auction clearance rates for those that had cleared on auction day was sitting at 50%. Those that had sold prior, including the ones that obviously sold at auction, is sitting at 88%. So as you can see, the demand to buy in Cherrybrook's very high there. It's also worth noting that the 2 that did pass in were towards the one that's since been rescheduled have been towards the back end of May. And again, which is going to lead me to answer the question as to why the market appears to have cooled. So I guess in reference to what I noted in last month's video, the median price is very much stabilized, and it consistently seems to be the case. If you look back at March, the median was sitting at $2,085,000. April was sitting at $2,060,000, with May currently sitting at $2,005,000. Now, bearing in mind that May had a massive month of sales with 25 home sales, which is huge, right? And I'll give you an example shortly of just how huge that is. Like I said in last month's video as well, I did expect the sales volumes to drastically increase, which has been the case, so no surprises there. Now, transferring it to where we stand at present, I'm recording this video being Friday the 4th of June 2021. If you have a look at, open up Real Estate or Domain, whichever browser you use there's 7 registered home sales, 7 homes listed for sale. That's not including duplexes or anything like that. I'm solely looking at homes, which, that's some of the lowest stock levels I've seen for a long time. Hence the question, why isn't the market moving as strongly as it did, seeing as stock levels are so low? Because the theory is, if stock's low, should be moving. So compare it to last month, for argument's sake. There were 21 homes listed for sale, and things appeared to move quite well. So I'll get to what I was saying earlier. Why has the market cooled? Now, I think first things first, nobody panic. It's self-explanatory, really. It's not rocket science. I think people try to overcomplicate such a simple process and look at economic factors or government policies that are put into play to perhaps slow things down. Bottom line is there's still high demand to buy in. Now, the thing you got to remember is, if you look at the sales volumes, so the highest sales volumes recorded in recent times in Cherrybrook was back in October 2019, where there were 15 registered home sales. Now, do your research, don't take my word for it. And I always encourage you when I'm doing these videos to do your own research and Question me if you have any questions or don't think it's accurate. So just to put that into perspective, so we had there were 15 sales in October 2019 for Cherrybrook, okay? And that was the highest sales volumes of recent times. Up until February this year, there were 16 home sales. March this year, there were 16 home sales. April admittedly had cooled off with 11 home sales, and in saying that's still not too bad in comparison to some of the more recent months that we saw in 2020. And then you've got May, which takes off with 25 home sales. So that's a whopping 68 properties sold within the space of, February, 4 months, right? So basically the buyer allocation to those properties has been exhausted. So they've all jumped in. Think of it as like a Christmas rush. Everybody goes out to buy food, whatever, because they know that the shops are going to close down for a day or two, public holidays after Christmas. Everybody swarms in. And then after the Christmas, New Year period, everybody's back in it's somewhat limbo. Things are very quiet until, give it a month or so, it starts to pick up again when people start going out and the economy starts spending. Same could be said in this scenario. It's not, talking to a lot of buyers out there, there's no problems with budgets. They're probably a bit more selective with what they want. So this is where I think what you've got to understand is you can't keep having these sales volumes repeating, because it's just not sustainable. And the other thing as well is, stock levels that remain at 7, all the home sellers that have come on in Cherrybrook wanting to sell have sold. So the stock levels coming on at the moment are few and far between. So I don't think you're going to see a drastic increase in stock levels, at least for the month of June, which is going to give the property market, especially here in Cherrybrook, time to gain that buyer momentum again. So there's no signs, broadly speaking, from an economic standpoint that there's no money out there. I'm still seeing plenty of money and people out there willing to spend. I mean, this is just my opinion, but this is just looking at things from a basic standpoint and understanding recent sales volumes. And when you look at that and take that into consideration, I think we can all look at what's happening and try to draw our own opinion and perceptions of how things are trending in the world and in the market, and what repercussions will come as a result of the coronavirus. But nothing seems to have affected the property market in particular. So I think, as far as buying a property is concerned, when is the best time? Should I wait? I think when you're looking at property, it's a long-term investment. My advice is just hop on and get in the market. And if you're looking to sell, I wouldn't panic. I think time as a seller is very much on your side. I mean, if you look at all the forecasts and what's been analysed and assessed out there, it doesn't look like this upward swing we're seeing at the moment is gonna fall anytime soon. So at least for the next year, 2 years. Now, in saying that, I'm not expecting a drastic increase in values, but they're going to remain steady. And I know a lot of you out there in Cherrybrook don't have the mortgage stress or pressure or need to sell. It's a matter of, well, if the time's right and I see value there and there's an opportunity for me, I may very well take it and I may sell. So there's no mortgage stress in the suburbs. So that's another thing, I guess, as home buyers you need to be mindful of. If you're sitting there thinking that the market's going to crash, it's going to bend, people are going to opt out, this isn't the market where that happens. And that's, that has stood true over the test of time. Don't take my word for it. Look at the past data. But anyway, I think I've probably waffled on a bit too much. I hope that makes sense and clears things up a little. Again, if you have any further questions on anything I've just discussed, Angelo Lambropoulos, Director of Lambros Realty. I'll leave all the details in the YouTube video link. And thank you for watching, and I'll be back next month.